Welcome to The View from the East, a new unofficial Leyton Orient podcast. This is episode 10. Congratulations, you still work here. My name's Rob Bennett, and I'm joined today, as always, by my slightly older brother, Eddie B. Eddie, how are we doing?
Yeah. Hi, Rob. Hi all. It was a bit of a loose end today. We're actually recording this on Saturday at 4 o'clock. I'm used to watching football 3 till 5. I can't wait for the season to start again, Rob. I don't know what to do on my Saturdays. So I spoke to you, didn't I? And we decided to get a pod out today.
Yeah, so we pulled an early shift, basically, and it also means that I don't have to be editing at midnight, silly hours during the week. And to be fair, I've also got a couple of parents' evenings this week. So it's a better time to be doing it on a Saturday afternoon. We've got a few things to talk about today. The main crux of the show today will be the retained list that came out midweek. I know we've all been waiting for it. I'm sure everyone's going to have an opinion on it as well, whether they disagree or agree with some of the options that have been shown on there. We've got a few little bits about the club that have been released this week, and also some thank yous for some comments and other little bits and pieces that we've received. Ed, where should we start? I'll start, if you don't mind. Ed, this is episode 10. I didn't think we'd get this far. There are 5 million podcasts in the world. Only 10% of them reach 3 shows. We've reached 10 shows. We're not doing bad, are we?
No, I think it's all right. It's still a learning curve for us, Rob, isn't it? We did say that we'd try and get a few shows out at the end of the season, which we've done. Really with the aim to be a little bit more professional as the season starts. We've decided we're going to, if we can, do a podcast a week. And we've got the World Cup coming up as well, Rob, haven't we? Hopefully we've got enough material to carry on until the season starts in August.
And before any smart ass basically says, well, we didn't ask you to do the podcast. No, you didn't. But more and more people are listening. Numbers are on the up. We're appearing in the Apple football charts for the UK for some weird reason, Ed. We're almost in the top 150. We're even beating Rio Ferdinand. So that's not too bad, is it? And we've got,
thank goodness.
And we're in the charts in Japan, Italy, Australia, Ireland, and support all around Europe as well, especially Scandinavia, which I'll get onto in a moment. But yeah, we're really pleased. Thank you for supporting. We are going to continue. Long may it reign. So we've had a couple of comments. Should we mention some of them before we crack on?
Yeah, just very quickly. So we've had a message from Corey saying the O's are staying up. Tick. Now on to Arsenal to go and do the double. Great episode, guys. Well, perhaps we may need to have a couple of words about that.
Yeah, if there's anything I hate, it's a glory hunter. So he must have jumped on board, mustn't he, when we was playing well last season. Now he's jumped back on ship with Arsenal. So, yeah, good luck to you. You haven't won anything yet. So, pop the champagne when maybe you have got a bit of silverware in the cupboard. Ed, anyone else who's laid some comments down?
Yeah, just another one from Terry B. Great podcast, lads. Keep up the good work and keep saying as it is. Not everyone will agree with you, but it's all about opinions. Enjoyable listening. Up the O's.
Okay. This is possibly my favourite comment. This came from episode 8. Blackpool Dower, which is still there to be able to listen to. Please go back to our back catalogue if you've not done so already. This is from Brian. Superb. Absolutely love it, boys. Up the mighty O's. And that's Brian from Denmark. I thought, that's fantastic, Ed. We're planning a couple of World Cup shows, aren't we? We're going to talk about the World Cup and England as we go through. Maybe get a few correspondents from further afield. Brian, he's in Denmark. Fantastic. Brian, come on the show. Hang about. I've had a look. Denmark, unfortunately, they couldn't even qualify with 48 teams going into the World Cup. Right, you've let us down.
Jeez. Any chance that Sweden through? Sweden? Norway?
Yeah, Sweden qualified. Yeah.
No one to know, Rob. He could just commentate on those games.
Yeah, Norway have qualified as well. Just poor old Denmark and Finland who aren't joining the party.
He could be a Scandinavian expert.
Yeah. Brian, I'm hoping you're chuckling at that. We're not having a go at you. You can be our World Cup expert. I don't mind. You probably know more about Scandinavian football than what we do. So, if you want to join us, email us. This is the email address, theviewfromtheeast@outlook.com, or you can contact me directly on X @viewfromeast. So that's X @viewfromeast. And if there's anyone else out there, we are planning on doing World Cup shows. So you might be an Orient fan who's a Scotland supporter, England, obviously, but any other nation out there, Ed, and we know we've got a lot of followers who are at the ground who come from sort of the four corners of the world. if you feel you want to come on the show and give your opinion on whether it be the United States, Australia, whoever it may be, even Japan, then please give us a contact. The more the merrier. We're happy for you to join us on the shows.
Yeah, perfect. Rob, I've just got one quick little thing. I live in South Woodford. I was walking down George Lane the other day, and there was a really lovely shop done up. It was called the Children's Society, so I just sort of poked my head in to see what it was all about. And there was a lovely group of people running it, and just wanted to know what it was all about. And they just, I said I would put a shout out for them. So at the moment, the Children's Society Garden is at the Royal Chelsea Flower Show. On the front done the front of the shop up to correspond with the Chelsea Flower Show. And I just sort of said that I would mention that the Children's Society is to help teenagers find the safety, peace and connection and build mental and well-being and rediscover optimism. And I just wanted to give them a shout out. There was some lovely people in there. And apparently, Rob, they're having a refurb in their shop. And I did sort of drop in. I sort of said, have you got anyone to open the shop? I'm guessing they was going to say someone like a local celebrity like sort of Jeff Brazier, someone from Towie, and they said they haven't. I thought, there's a chance here. So I sort of, you do know that you're talking to one half of a podcast in the top 150 soccer podcasts in Japan, and I could see their little eyes rolling, and there may be a chance for me and you to open that refurb up in about a month's time.
Think about it. You telling me that Hollywood's not available to open that refurb? He's everywhere else at the moment, apart from our podcast.
Yeah, no. Turn the ball down here, maybe me and you.
Come on, Hollywood. Look, there's a sort of invite. Come on the podcast. I don't sit a million miles away from your old man on the in the East Stand. So look, come along and we'll talk all things Orient and that new drama series you've got coming out on Sunday of this week. I'm even plugging his show. He's not coming on and helping us. Right, Ed, little bit of news or thing come out on the app and the website this week about the fan zone where we went on Saturday, didn't we? We really enjoyed it. I think they're looking for a bit of feedback in terms of this little form you can fill out about what you might want to see or what you potentially might want to improve there. Have you filled out the form so far?
Yeah, I filled it out just before we came on because I wanted to show my appreciation. We popped down there last Saturday. We talked about it on the last podcast. They were looking for ideas that what could possibly make it better. I sort of said perhaps they could sell a little bit more of the merch that they do actually sell in the shop. To have sort of a pop-up shop there. Perhaps some old retro kits, which are always good sellers, and perhaps some like independent suppliers who are just making some Leyton Orient T-shirts equivalent that are not connected with the shop, but the club probably could give them the chance to sell to the public. So stuff like that I suggested, but I think it's a good idea. It looks as if they're going to carry it on next season, Rob.
Yeah, we've had some ideas, haven't we, about merchandise that potentially we'd like to put forward to them. And I don't want to be selling it on the corner and getting my collar felt by the police. So if there was sort of a chance for independent designers or creators to be able to sell their merch, and I don't know, you give them 10%, keep them sweet, then that would be an option. I'd also think, we've said it in the past, if they could have maybe a old player knocking around for you, if they could get John Chidozie could kill two birds with one stone. He could get his bouncy castles up and running as well.
Actually, that was one thing I did mention. Like Comic-Cons do, where you celebrities that are sitting down there, you pay a $5 for them to sign a picture, get a picture taken with them. And I thought perhaps they could do something like that, and like the money would go to the local hospice.
That's a great idea. I think it's this is off tangent a little bit, but I think it's April Smith from the Trust who is running that or is asking for feedback on it. Now, this is, I suppose, a personal thing, but April is part of the Trust that helped run the mental health awareness sessions that they've done through the club throughout the year. I think from about, I want to say from November onwards, along with Barry Twin and Richie and Martin Ling have been to those sessions as well. I've not mentioned this throughout our podcast so far, and I don't think it's talked about a lot, but they've done some incredible work in supporting fans of the Orient who just needed a place to talk, have coffee, this, that and the other. Richie's been along there many a time. Martin was there before Christmas. So I just want to say well done to everyone involved there, and at the time they've given. Obviously, everyone's very busy, but you can imagine Richie and Martin at the time, sort of, they don't have much time to give, but they've done incredible. There's no harm in it. Doesn't cost a lot to give up some time just for people who potentially are struggling. So But yeah, well done, Orient. I hope you continue that into the new season, because I know a lot of people have gained a lot out of it and have met some new friends along the way. So well done, Orient. Sorry, I was off script there, but it's worth mentioning something that is helping a lot of people.
Definitely, and it's stuff like that a lot of clubs do that the main public don't get to see. And it should be advertised and be made aware of a lot more.
Okay, let's get on to the main crux of our podcast this Saturday. Ed, the retained list came out on the 7th. Everyone's been waiting on it. I think sort of as soon as the whistle blew on last Saturday, everyone wanted to see it. And so we'll run through it today. Maybe a few surprises for some. Certainly some debate to be had on some of the choices and some of the decisions. I think, Ed, it's probably easier to start with those players, senior players, where their contracts have come to an end and they've decided not to renew or offer a new contract. Some of these we can easily go through, others we can have a quick chat about. So firstly, Toby Oluwemi, he's a goalkeeper coming from Celtic. I don't think it's any surprise he's not been offered a new deal.
No, I don't think so. Unfortunately, he came in at a time when we was really desperate for goalkeepers. Typical at the time. He got himself injured, didn't he, in the first game? I think we were there, Rob, weren't we? He may have come in for one more game after that, but I think he was just there as an emergency to plug a gap we needed at the time. I don't think he was ever going to be looked upon as being our number one choice for the next 2 or 3 seasons. So that sort of makes sense.
I think, unfortunately for him, he did make mistakes, like many of the goalkeepers we've had so many. But yeah, a lot of them have made mistakes this year. And I think with Les Dennis coming in, I think he showed the quality that you do need between the sticks in terms of presence, shot stopping, etc. I don't think he made many mistakes in his 10 games he's played for us. So I think Dennis put that bar that much higher in terms of the quality we're going to need. If it's not him, someone else who fits that mould. So yeah, thanks for the service, but unfortunately, I think we needed something a little bit better. Next on the list now, this is someone who has got a championship winners medal to his name, Tom James. We'd probably see him more as a right back. Scored some bangers in his time. Are you surprised they've not offered him something?
No, I think they were looking for they're looking for something a little bit different now. We've still got a few players that were with us when we did win the league over 3 years ago now. Every team needs to strengthen. He was a good League Two player. And unfortunately, he's like many of the players we've currently got, he's just injury prone, Rob. So, yeah, I haven't got his stats in front of me, so I do apologise, but I presume he didn't play more than half the games this season. He'll come back, play 2 or 3 solid games, and then he'll be out for another 4 games. Pace is not one of Tom's assets, which we're probably all fully aware of. But, yeah, I think we need to be looking for someone stronger in that position next season. But obviously, thanks for all the good times that he did bring us over the last 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, I've had a couple of thoughts on this, Ed. I think one you mentioned there about sort of skill set and stuff like that. I think one of his strengths has always been his set play, isn't it? Whether it be a free kick or sort of free quick delivery into the box or free kicks. And I think that's corners. And I think that's sort of maybe petered out a bit. He's not your specialist we might have seen, certainly in League Two when we won the championship. But also I had the back of my mind if they, when I was thinking about who they might keep in terms of extending their contract with James, even if he wasn't going to be your number one in terms of right back, he does cover left back, he can play central defence, can't he, and could be sort of your man on the bench. So that was in my mind, whether sort of they might offer him something in terms of, like, you're not going to be a starter, but you're almost like our utility man on the bench. I don't know if that went through their mind.
Yeah, I think looking at the players, Rob, I think Tom was probably the hardest decision that needed to be made by the club. But they've made it, and I'm sure he won't struggle to find a club. I would imagine sort of League Two level would probably suit Tom down to the ground. Yeah,
I mean, there's some good options League Two, especially if you want to stay down south, I suppose. But as you said, I mean, he's 30-year-old. He's got a championship on his League Two title on his record, which looks good on your CV, doesn't it? People have eyeballs on you. You know, he could, I don't know, cross London to Barnet. He could even go to Southend and play good level at National League, probably get a good wage as well. So I don't think he's going to be short of the club for long. But the next one now, this is a good one to maybe compare with another decisions that's been made. So central defender Jack Simpson has not been offered another contract. He's been with us a while, hasn't it? Was it about 18 months, maybe 2 years?
Yeah, it must be now.
So, I mean, when he come to us, obviously under circumstances that we won't talk about his past history, but you think he's played for Rangers, Cardiff, didn't actually have that many games under his belt, though, really. And again, you mentioned with Tom James, he's one of those where he's been in and out with injury, sometimes looks as nervous as anything during a game. Are you surprised with the decision?
Again, Rob, no, I think we sort of had a quick chat about this beforehand, didn't we? Again, injury prone. We do love an injury prone player. And then when you actually do look at his statistics, I think for a man of 27, 28, he may even be a year older, I don't think he's played more than 100 games, which is ridiculous, isn't it? So something needs to be looked at. Why is that? Why have you played that amount of games? But then when you look at his history and where he's been at the other clubs, he's just injury prone.
It's interesting then.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, it's interesting then when you compare it to Dan Happ, who has been offered a contract extension yet for him to sign. Pretty much they're similar players, aren't they? 6'4", 6'5", left-footed, are meant to be good on the ball. But you mentioned there Simpson's played 100 games. Let's give him 3 figures. Happy's sort of in our top 20 appearances of all time. I think he's got about 250 appearances under his belt, and he's 27. I think he'd be going into his testimonial year if he does sign that contract. Do you think that played a part in it? Sort of very similar, but stick with what you know.
Yeah, I'm sure it must have been. It must have come across the discussions, mustn't it? Obviously, yeah. If Happy does sign an extension, there is a testimonial there. He's our last player that people would think about, like the National League. I think he was actually playing in the team when we got relegated from League Two as well. So he's sort of had the last connection, so to speak, to the old way the club was run. I think that's, and there's not many players who do stay at a team for 10 years. And I'm sure he would have had approaches for him when he was perhaps 2-3 years ago, perhaps when we won the League Two. But again, Rob, he's injury prone. You can't get more than probably 25 games out of him. So you've got 2 players who you can't get more than 25 games out, and you've got to choose. And I imagine the connection with Dan Happy coming through the youth ranks, it may have possibly swayed that decision.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Happy's yet to decide whether he wants to stay. It's up to him if he signs the contract, isn't it? So we might have news on that later in the month or going into June. I suppose he'll hang it out for as long as he can. He's bound to get offers from other clubs as well, I'd imagine. It's whether he wants to up sticks or he wants to try something new.
I mean, he'd probably have the pick of choices in League Two, wouldn't he? Teams that are looking to come up, or possibly other League One squads. But as a squad player, I think probably that's what we're looking for him. If he does sign, he'd be a squad player. I don't think he'd be in the starting 11.
Yeah, I think we might come on to it at the end about what potential we do need over the summer. Yeah, I think that he would be fighting for a starting place. I think if Richie maybe has got a list of maybe other candidates for that position. And obviously, Reg has got to come back at some point as well. I know that's probably a long way off. But I think there's going to be a bit of competition in there. The other 2 who have been released with no contract being offered, Malachi Welsh, who's the young fullback. I think he's like Jamaican under 21 player, but I think he only ever played the sort of Papa John's Cup games, didn't he, or whatever that's called now. So probably never given the chance. He looked good in patches from what I've seen on the TV, but I've never seen him live to be able to sort of give a good sort of judgment on. Finally, Ed, your favourite player, DJ Jaisimi, after 2 years in the building, has finally been asked to leave. He didn't really show a lot, did he, for us over that period?
No, I just didn't get it. I didn't get it, Rob. I think when you see these YouTube highlights, when you sign a player, pinging goals in from like 25 yards, taking players down the wing, getting a ball in, diving headers, we just didn't see it from him, did we? He never looked fully fit, to be honest. Obviously, he struggles looking after his weight, which isn't an issue. I'm just an honest opinion. But he was always a bit player. He was always on the bench or covering if someone was injured or suspended. He was never, from the last 2 years, he was never sort of like a first teamer. Hence, I presume the club probably did try to get him away in January, or at least put him in the shop window where he's been with Barnet. And interestingly, he was struggling to get in that team as well. So a sensible decision. One that's not surprising that we go.
Yeah, I think when he was onto a loser straight away, as soon as he signed, I just don't think there's a good vibe about him, just in terms of, as you said, and this isn't a go at him, just physically, he sometimes didn't look as fit as some of the other players. And we've all got our own sort of genetics, haven't we? We all look different. But he looked like, it was always going to be a bit of a struggle for him, sort of holding down any sort of position, really.
He had that connection to Richie as well, didn't he? There's so many players who's had connections with Richie at Swindon, and he was one of them. So he knows what he's going to get, but it just didn't think it worked since he's been at Orient.
Good luck to him. I'm sure if he's not a League Two team he gets, I'm sure he'll find something in the National League. But he'll find a space somewhere. Well, I'll just quickly run over some of the other stuff, not by name, but obviously there's been third-year scholars released as well, and a number of under-18 players. Sometimes we see their names pop up on the sort of the YouTube clips and the website itself, and they always he must be a good player. The name's always popping up, but obviously they don't feel they want to offer them contracts. I will say, Ed, and we've been watching football long enough, every club in the land will be releasing 18-year-olds or however old they are this month. And people say, that's the end of it for me. But there will be diamonds within that who do go on to have a good career. It might not necessarily be in the Premiership, but they'll find a level where they can continue playing football, continue enjoying themselves, playing something that hopefully they love. So it's not the end of the world, is it, being released? You will find your place somewhere if you want to.
Yeah, I think we have to look at, some of the players that when Premiership clubs have released players, we use Galbraith as an example. Man United obviously just didn't think that he fitted in with what they were looking for. He's taken 2 steps down to play for us. And look where he is now, on the verge of probably getting a move to the Premiership. Sometimes these players just need to go down, perhaps the level that they used to, and they just build up their confidence again and get some games behind them, and then regenerate and then 18 years old is nothing, is it? A couple of good years in the National League, and then they could be looking to come back into the EFL again.
Yeah, okay, and I'm sure one or two of these players might come back to haunt us one day. You never know. It does happen, doesn't it? Let's have a look at some of the players that we've mentioned before about long contracts that some of the players are on. I know a number of players who are contracted for 1 or 2 more years who have been told, try and find another club. We'll go through them one by one. Sean Clare, he's done 2 seasons with us. You're surprised he's being told, please go elsewhere?
Again, it's the amount of games you're getting from these players. And again, he's probably a similar one that falls into the Dan Happy, Jack Simpson. He come back, looks good for 2 or 3 games, and we never really knew what his true position was. I'm sure we signed him as a right back, who then moved into midfield, and then he became a bit of a utility player, a ball-winning centre midfield player. Played a few good games last season, and I'll be honest. But again, this season, injury-prone again. I can only presume maybe a clash of personalities between him and some of the management team, and they've put his name out there if anyone's interested. But I'm sure that there'll be possibly some League One teams, definitely a host of League Two teams who would look to snap him up.
Yeah, I mean, he's done the rounds a bit club-wise over the years. I mean, I never really liked him at the right back head. He always gave me headaches, really, watching him now. Sometimes he was okay in midfield, but you want to see that 5-6 games running, not for 2 games, then out for 6 games, 2 games, appearance, whatever it may be. That's probably been our big downfall this year, isn't it? Consistency of starting 11 or squad. I hate to use the word sick note because we don't employ Darren Anderson, but he's on that medical list far too often, isn't he? So at the moment, it looks like he's going elsewhere potentially. Next on the list, Eric Backinson, a player that we've been after for 25 years. Everything he reads. True, we've been after him for ages. He's lasted 12 months. Yeah,
and again, there's a reason he only lasted 12 months at Wycombe as well. Someone described him as Bambi on ice, which then is 6'5", and you think, with his height, he should be like, winning the ball back in the middle, challenging and throwing his weight around. Just didn't see it enough, Rob, did we? That there was better players, probably half the size on the pitch sometimes. And just, I don't know. I thought he was going to be a completely different player than one we've seen, who just wouldn't put his foot in for a man of his size. I'm not surprised. The thing is, he's probably got 2 years left on his contract. So again, there may be a league. I keep on trying to chuck everyone in League Two, don't I? Because I don't think he's good enough for League One. So that there may be a League Two team.
He's probably done himself no favours in terms of trying to attract someone from League One. I mean, now, even when I think about it, I still don't know what sort of player he's meant to be or was meant to be. Was he meant to be an enforcer? I'm not sure. He's got the size about him. There was a couple of weeks ago when he was up further up front, almost in the 10 position, where he was pulling out tricks and stuff like that. But what you can't be, and I think this will be for many of these players actually we talk about and who are being released, you can't be a 5 out of 10 player for the majority of the season. They go, we need 7 out of 10 players, 8 out of 10 players consistently, don't we? And he's not been nowhere near that. You can't just be sort of 7 out of 10 once every 2 months or something. You've got to be far more consistent. And I think that's what has been his downfall.
Yeah, and I think the age is that as well. He should have been telling some of the youngsters what to do, but you never got that impression, did you? You never got the impression that he's shouting at some of the players to, pull their socks up and, fight for such a man of his height. He seemed to get lost in the middle of the pitch.
I mean, I'll give him credit. He's scored a couple of bangers this year, so thanks for that, Tyreek. But yeah, at the moment, it looks like we might be not seeing you in an orange shirt next year. Ed, next one we can talk about very briefly. Lamar Gordon, he coming from Fulham. I think a bit like Ollie O'Neill was part of their under-23 team. And his downfall happened straight away. As soon as he was bought, they done the usual, that video where they're banging him in from here, banging him in from there, under the old dance music mixtape that they always use. But then straight away, someone asked him, someone asked Richie, that is, when's Lamar Gordon going to be in the squad? He's nowhere near the squad. He's sort of going to be in the under-21s or whatever it may be. I think he's made one squad. But to me, it seemed like Richie had sort of put him to one side straight away, so he never had the chance. Yeah,
maybe just what you want to be on that scouting mission that when they picked him up, don't you? I presume, as you mentioned, that we were building an under-21 team and we were getting players with a little bit of, they call it Premier League B experience to build up our under-21 team. And I thought perhaps we may see him come in at the end of this season or potentially for next season. Obviously, Richie's seen enough already. And, if he's on X amount a week and we can get him off our wage bill, then I don't know where he ends up, Rob.
No, well, I don't know enough about him. What I would say is, in a team that's been playing really poor this year, he's got nowhere near the squad. So obviously he's not shown enough in training or catching anyone's eye in terms of consistency, or at least being able to give him a go. But good luck to you, but I don't know enough about you. Next, Ed, this one will prick up everyone's ears. The Karate Kid, Sonny Perkins. Finally, he's been told we might not want you next year. Surprised about that?
I don't think anyone's surprised, Rob, are they, when you listen to all the other podcasts and social media. And when you're seeing him in the flesh as well, he just hasn't shown enough for the last 2 years that he's been here. Yeah, right. He did have a little spell, probably the back end of 2024 when he popped in for a couple of goals, and you think, are we going to see the tides turn now? There's a reason he's played for West Ham and Leeds, because obviously some people, he's shown some talent somewhere, but we just never saw anything, Rob, did we? And I don't even know what his position is. I couldn't tell you whether he's a striker, a winger, a midfield player. He just looks like an extra body to put on the bench because he's played for a couple of big teams, but it's never really worked out for him, has it?
Well, I think when he initially signed, remember when on loan, and it was like he was either starting or on the bench, where really he didn't have, I don't think he had a right to be in that position either. And it's like, right, it's part of the loan condition. Is it that he has to be in the squad a certain amount of times, to sort of as part of the contract or agreement? But then they ended up buying him in January, didn't they, of last year? And it's like, well, we've bought him to free up a loan space. I do know some details about that, but I'm not going to say it on here in case I get in trouble. But it's, yes, you want the best for everyone, don't you? But he's never really shown it enough. People say, oh, he had a good game against Man City. That's over a year ago, what you've been doing since. But when you look at him in pre-season, he's like bullying like the non-league teams that we play against in pre-season. He can score for fun. But at this level, he, like you said the other week, give him a steak meal.
DJ had a good game against Man City.
Yeah.
So, that is...
Yeah. I mean, it'll look good in your highlight reel, but, for us, where's he going? I suppose you're sending him to League Two and all. League Two's got a lot of players all of a sudden.
I think he's a very wealthy man already, so he's probably got his choices of where he could possibly go.
Yeah, he's had some payments, I would imagine. You know what he could do? He could even just go to like a good National League team, can he? Sort of score for fun, build your career back up if you can.
Come on here. He could come on here. He could be like the third musketeer.
Yeah, as soon as your contract's up, Sonny, and you're out somewhere to another club, I'll invite you on and we can talk about your real experience at Leyton Orient. That might be one of our specials, I think, the Sonny Perkins special. Also, I've got in mind, Ed, it's SummerSlam must be coming up. He might be on their books.
Don't rub it in, Rob.
No, I mean, I will come to something at the end of this. We've got one more player to mention, but there is something important to mention as well. Right, Ed, next one. This will be a big disappointment to a lot of people in terms of what we have seen from him this year. Josh Koroma, he started like a house on fire. That soon petered out, didn't it? He's not done a lot since, September?
He ticked all the boxes, didn't he? He probably over 100 championship games, probably scoring about 10 goals a season, if might be slightly more, one or two of those seasons. Ex-player, so he knows the club, he knows the management, he knows what's expected. Apparently we beat a couple of other clubs off to get his signature. 3-year deal, because I think he's only about 24 still. He's a young fella.
You've got Ed to be older than that.
26.
27.
But he's still got the best years of his life ahead of him, isn't he? Yeah. We're looking to get in the playoffs or to go, I think, brilliant, good signing. He looked good. Was it Plymouth game or was it Mansfield? Would be one of the first games of the season, and he whacked a goal in just outside the box. You think, right, this is why we're paying big bucks for these types of players, because they're going to score us those extra 10 goals a season. But I don't know what's happened, Rob. Since then, we just haven't seen anything, have we? He's been on the bench. He's come off. And one of my other bigger things that we haven't mentioned, I've got £14 Orient cash to spend in the shop. And one of the only things that I can afford is a £12.99 Just Koroma Leyton Orient scarf.
Nice. Might be worth it.
That's one of my only options.
I've got a feeling there might be a special offer on those. You might get 2 or 3 by the end of next week. I don't know where we go with it. I mean, is he a true Lingy buy? Is that a Martin Ling buy where they just needed someone?
Yeah, he must have. He must have had something, because he'd been playing for Huddersfield, hadn't he, for like 4-5 years? So he'd obviously moved all his family up north. Was it Barnsley? I think were after him, and he'd already agreed a contract with Barnsley, which makes sense. Keep your family up north, and then for him to come back down south, he obviously hasn't come down cheap as well. I imagine he's on good wages. He may be stuck with him for the next 2 years, because his wages might be more than anyone else is offering to pay him.
We will come to that. I just have a feeling he started really well. I just wonder, he plays a similar position to what Connolly on that, sort of coming in from the left sometimes. I just wonder if he saw Connolly and realised, bloody hell, that is a player. I can't reach those heights. Sort of Connolly's 10 times the player what I've seen of Koroma this year. But also, I don't know, was his heart ever really in coming back to Leyton Orient? As you said, maybe the wages were good, maybe sort of the length of the deal, maybe that was a winner. 3 years contract for sort of football players is quite rare. It's a rarity at this level.
You always hear it in the higher level, but I think even perhaps the Championship and League One, if these players have been on good contracts for 4 or 5 years, and they're starting another 3 years, these guys have got a lot of money in their back pocket. They could afford to sit on the bench and not worry about it. You sign a contract, you've got to pay me up. I hope that's not true, but sometimes I do get that impression from some players.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we must remember. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 5 players. They're only up for transfer, aren't they? They don't necessarily have to go anywhere.
That's true, but there may be some teams that are coming up from League 2 to League 1 who just need some League 1 experience, like we needed, didn't we? You may be able to get them on loan, possibly, just to fall, just to test them out. I mean, there's a lot of South East teams coming up from League 2 this year, so there may be some opportunities if you haven't got to move too far to play League 1 football again.
Do you think, based on what Richie said last week, maybe about attitude of the squad, sort of wasting a year of their footballing career and apparently his manager career as well, do you think 1 or 2 of them may be paid up and asked just to leave the building?
1, 2, 3, 4, all 5 of them. No, not 5 of them, because I haven't seen Lamar Gordon. But of the 5 players who are professional players available for transfer, I would say 4 of them haven't given me enough as a fan, and Richie probably sees them every day, doesn't he?
But do you think the club will just want them out the building in terms of they might pay 1 or 2 of them off?
Yeah, if they get a big fee for some of the other players, they may free up a little bit of money to let them go. bad egg crop. That's what they always say, don't they?
I hope not. I mean, again, one or two of these are going to come back to bite us on the arse at some point. That just happens in football, doesn't it? It happens for every club. And is there a possibility one or two of them might come back to training and show something a bit more? Maybe different decisions made.
Well,
they're under contract.
Yeah, I suppose if you're paying them, they want to keep themselves fit. If they're keeping themselves fit, it keeps them in the shop window, doesn't it? So some of these transfers can carry on until the last day of the transfer window. But there may be some clubs who are looking for just to bolster their squad. Perhaps one or two of those players may tick a few of their boxes, and we can get them off our wage bill.
Okay, we'll quickly discuss the players under contract who are staying. I'm not going to go through all the names. Everyone would have seen the list of players who will be with us from the start of August. Is there anyone, and to confirm as well, Theo Archibald's triggered his 1 year extension, isn't he? If I was them, Ed, I'd be giving him a 2 year deal or 3. Why mess around with a 12-month? He's fitter than he's ever been in my eyes, but that's just my opinion. Under those names of the players under contract with us in August, anyone you're surprised hasn't been asked to leave?
I think there's probably a couple, as we discussed, didn't we? I'm gonna put the first one out there. Dimitri Mitchell. He came with a lot of. He's going to be like the extra spice we need to get us into the. I just haven't seen enough from him, Rob. And again, he hasn't played enough games. Surprised he wasn't on that list, if I'm fair. I think Azim's lucky as well. Again, played about half a dozen games, sort of like in the middle of the season. Looked okay, just hasn't found his true position. I think that's the frustrating of a lot of the players we get. We buy them, we think they're going to be a midfield player or a defender, and they don't actually end up playing in those positions. Because we've got such a bad injury list, they end up filling in other positions. Perhaps we're just not seeing the best of these players in the positions that we actually bought them for.
Yeah, I mean, Richie mentioned, obviously, the rebuild. He's mentioned this quite a few times over the season. The rebuild we've brought 20 plus players, including loans last season. This is another rebuild, though, isn't it? They need at least 8-10 players by the look of it. When I look at the squad, there's areas of either cover that you're going to need. At left back, you need a cover. We need presumably 2 right backs. If James is going, you need your main one and cover, and also a centre back head. Say, for instance, Happy doesn't sign. Does that leave you with Forrest and a young lad who's been on loan at Barnet? But he's still only 18, isn't he? So there's still a lot of business to be done, and obviously the midfield as well.
Yeah, it's
all over the pitch. We need.
If that was your team, the players that are under contract next season, that's quite weak. And we know 1 or 2 of those players are going to leave as well, which will make us even weaker. I would presume after what happened last week and Richie's rant, as we've all talked about, and getting rid of Lingy and the new head of recruitment, that they'll be looking to snap some of these players up ASAP. They've obviously got their eye on a few players. It's quite obvious that we need a striker. I think as soon as we see a striker come in, then we may see Dom go. But what we don't want to do is sell Dom. Everyone knows we've got a bit of money. They'd be doubling their price. That's what happens, isn't it? So I wouldn't be surprised if we bought a couple of players before we sell Dom Ballard.
Get the business done early.
Definitely. I think that's the thing they've been lacking over the last 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
We get left with we just get.
I mean, I know out of that squad, people will say some of the squad players like a Charlie Wellens, I suppose even Zeko Cabero, he's got to come back, isn't he? Are you going to play him or aren't you? If not, he goes out on loan. If Dylan Livet doesn't show anything, I presume he's gone by January.
Yeah, again, another player was seeing his YouTube highlights the other day when he's playing Scottish Premier League. I know it's different to League One, but there's a lot of high-pressure games, big crowds and stuff like that, and he's pinging them in from like 25 yards. We've only seen about 2 games on the trot from him since he's come back.
Yeah, it's not a lot, is it? Okay. Ed, I think that's all we can say, really, isn't it, on the sort of recruitment list and the release list going forward. Definitely there needs to be some business done early. I hope that's the case. If Richie's already away on holiday, he needed a break, then hopefully the recruitment team have already got maybe some people in the building or those conversations going on. I hope they don't drag their feet with it, say, we can't announce it until the media team have created some sort of video. Sort of, sometimes just show me someone signing something at a desk or old school.
Oh, wait for the new kit to come out. That's another classic. We've got some ideas on that. We've got some ideas that they should promote that kit, but that'll be for another episode. But
that's one.
Get them in the building ASAP. An old scarf. There you go. Bang. Yeah. Even if it's with the physio, because the management are all on holiday. Just
I'm sure most clubs now, apart from the ones who are obviously involved in the playoffs at all levels, have released their release lists, haven't they? So, there's hundreds of players who are available for freeze. And then you never know, we might do a bit of business in terms of buying players as well. But definitely, what we do need, Ed, I would love to see people maybe 27, 28, maybe older, good experience, no injury history. I know you have to pay a little bit more for them in terms of wages and potentially purchase fee. But I think if we're serious about sort of pushing for the playoffs and not seeing what happened this year, then they've got to do that. And sort of that will be then down on Richie, won't it? Because this will be his squad. None of that, Lingy bought the players and he signed them off. This should be him sort of having more input on what we're going to see on the pitch next August.
I presume, Sean. I think it's going to be different this season. I think they'll probably give him till October. I think he'll stay this year because the contract, it's going to be so difficult to get rid of him and how much money he's on. He's one of the highest paid managers in their league. Give him till sort of like, that clubs usually do like the international breaks, so it'll be about October time and see how we're getting on. If it's not working, I think they'll make it happen quickly. They won't leave it till the next January window. I think they'll make a decision because there's no way we want to be down the bottom end again. I think the other thing, Rob, in all honesty, there are lots of good players out there, but there's a lot of them playing up north. For them to come down to London, to bring their family down, to move down, to buy a new house, you've got to pay up because they can live a good life up north on the wages they're already on. So I think that's another difficult situation for some of these players to move their family down south, which we probably don't factor in.
Isn't that why they move all out to Brentwood in Essex, that lovely part of the world?
Well, it is a nice place. It is a nice place in the world. But yeah, I just think there's probably a few factors where perhaps Bolton can sign players or Huddersfield can sign players and we can't. It's perhaps not the wages, it's just your money may go a little bit. Yeah, your money goes a little bit further up there. That's all I'm saying.
Well, maybe that's why we bought Will Forrester to sort of a little northern voice in the dressing room. Maybe let's go encourage a couple more sort of to come down south, as you said. Right, Ed, we'll wrap it up for this week on our special Saturday episode, which was we're recording. Ed, next week we'll talk about potentially our World Cup shows that we're looking at doing. Again,
looking forward to that.
Getting involved. So it's not just me and Ed moaning about Harry Kane being lazy or what the squad makeup is under Touche Tuchel. We'll love to have you on the show. Again, you can email me, theviewfromtheeast@outlook.com, or you can contact me on X @viewfromeast. That's @viewfromeast. And it don't matter what country you support, we just love to have your opinion. And obviously, I think the World Cup, Ed, starts on the 12th of June. So
yeah. Well, what we probably need to do is start watching some Premier League football, Rob. Do you know many of the England squad?
Well, Lee Dixon's still in the squad, isn't he? People like that.
Oh, we'll be all right. We're muzzled through.
Terry Butcher, is he still at the back?
Well, look, it'll be fine. It'll be. Yeah, you're right. Probably about a month's time. So we've got lots of games to talk about. But yeah, it'd be good to have some support from countries that we're not too sure about their squads and how they play. That'd be really good. And obviously we've covered Scandinavia with your friend now.
Yeah, we've got still get involved.
We think we've got a France correspondent that we can call upon. So we're just looking for a few different people now who experts in areas that we're not. Yeah,
you never know. We might get Danny Guy on it. I need to send him an email, see if he wants to comment on the England Guyana game.
It's true. Oh, he'll come on, won't he?
Yeah, of course he will. Yeah. If not, I know someone who does a very good impression of him. He can come on. Yeah.
No, not
at all. Right, we'll leave it there. We hope that you're enjoying the restful period of not having to worry about the O's this weekend, at least for another 2 months. But as ever, everyone, up the O's.
WOs.